Hi, welcome to Regency.
Oh no.
The reason why I'm saying that is because I have never done this before. And I don't know what I'm doing. So stick around, because that sounds awesome, right? To me, it didn't make any sense to do a series of videos on how to do this from the standpoint of I don't. So I want to consider this more like join me. If you have no idea what you're doing either, maybe some of this will help you. And then also, before we start all of this, I just want to make a disclaimer. So, with that being said, let's dive in to making my first Regency gown. Okay, so first things first. What did I do first? What do I do first? Really, I'm asking. Okay, just kidding. So, I guess like for any project, usually the way that I start out is I find an inspiration portrait that I like. For whatever reason, aesthetics, maybe it has multiple accessories or whatever. So I'm going to show the one that I really like, and I'm probably not going to follow it exactly because like some of the things that I've already found or some fabric that I've already like accumulated stashes is different from what we see in the portrait. But I probably am going to be really good in editing, hopefully, and like tell you what the source is for that thing. I actually found close-ups of the painting, so that's like your second step. Like, really find the closest, largest image you can get so you can get all of the details, because a lot of the times in the blurrier pictures, it's really hard to see what's going on. And I actually noticed a couple of things about this portrait that are really interesting that you can't tell from, you know, some random tiny little picture on someone's blog. First of all, she's got what I guess is called white working. It's a kind of it's not applique. It's hard to explain. I will show a picture from another book of mine of a embroidery technique book that has all like these design patterns and stuff in it. So essentially that makes kind of like an eyelet looking thing, and it's a lace, and she's got that around her sleeves and on the wrists. And also she has a chemisette that looks to be in this very, 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 very transparent sort of finely woven fabric, which we may not even be able to locate nowadays because it probably isn't being made like that anymore. So that's going to be an interesting challenge of like figuring out what that should be made of. I'm probably going to go the route of like netting with like small polka dots on it. And then also once you've got those pictures and you can see the exterior, the next step is really to just go in there and look and figure out what the structure is. You need to know what your supportive garments are. Every time, no matter what you're making, always start with support garments. Without support garments, you're not going to get the right shape on the outside. So those are always super key. Work as hard as you can on those and make sure you get them right. Allegedly. So what are the support garments that we see from Regency period? The painting that I'm looking at is from 1810, so I'm going to be basing things on that. You're going to have a shift, which for all of my Ren people is basically a kamecha with the arms chopped off. Yay! So you have the shift as your base layer, probably out of cotton or linen. I'm thinking linen, but I gravitate towards linen because if it's going to be against my body, I want the most breathable thing possible, and linen is that. It's just going to do that. So I chose linen for my base layer. And then on that you're going to have stays. They are not super boned like the earlier, like 18th century stuff, which was kind of weird for me coming from Italian Renaissance where everything's padded and very stiff in that area. I was like, what is this? Wait, so how is that going to do anything? So yeah, it's a completely new thing for me to be like, oh wait, we don't smash the bust anymore. Like, we like support and separate, which is also kind of weird looking. And when I put on my stays, I was like, what? I will talk more about like how I made these various different layers. They're kind of still in the middle of production, so I don't have everything completed yet. And then you're gonna have a petticoat. And the petticoat can either have a bodice of its own, or it can be straps. And we actually found a couple of examples that have white work like insertion around the bottom, which I think is really cool because then I can digitize, and anytime I can digitize, I'm like a very happy person. So I'm gonna do that. And then you have the top layer, the gown, and accessories. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I've like sort of half finished making my shift. I've sort of mostly done with the stays, and then I am like mostly done with the petticoat except for the bottom part that I digitized and I now need to stitch out and apply as insertion. So yeah, that's pretty much where we are. This is just a little intro. Hopefully I've shown you some pictures of things. It's really terrifying to throw yourself out. I imagine this is what time travel is right? Like you're like, what? What, this is totally different and I don't know what to do here at all. Another tip for your, for my steps as far as like creating something. Make sure you find people who have already like obsessed over this, who are like super obsessed with this time period, think about it constantly, live it, breathe it, create it. I think when I was talking to my person who is helping me through all of this, who is, by the way, Katie from Latina Living History, or I think she's La Vida Josefina on Instagram. I ask millions of questions all the time, and one of them I asked was, well, like, for Italian Ren, we have like the Modern Maker, and we have the Tudor Tailor, and we have the Patterns of Fashion books, and these all give us really good examples of like how to actually stitch all the stitches and how to put everything together. And she told me there's not really as much of a resource for Regency, which, hey, if anyone wants to make a book like that, that would be super helpful for those of us who just need someone to hold our hand through every single step of the process. That would be awesome. So if you want to do that, I'm all here for it. Like, I think you would have lots of people who are very excited. I had to look at, or tried to look at, pictures from the Met, pictures from museums, but again, we're a little limited there too by like what they take the time to take pictures of, and oftentimes it's just the outside, and you don't see the inside, and you don't see the guts, and you don't see what seams they used, and so there's a lot more guessing in this than I think I had to do with Italian Renaissance, or maybe not, I don't know. Sometimes you just gotta muddle through and you need to guess. So that's what I'm doing. So welcome to Regency. Let's just dive right in, and I will see you next time for the next video about shifts. Hopefully that didn't sound like a swear word. I mean,